But first, Sky News can exclusively reveal that Jacinta Nampijinpa Price is announcing this morning she will run for the position of Deputy Liberal Leader and is endorsing Angus Taylor as leader. In a statement, Ms Price says, quote, "Today I announce my candidacy for Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party and my endorsement for Angus Taylor's candidacy for leader. As I've said with respect to my decision to change party rooms, these are not matters which I take lightly, and this decision today brings with it a great deal of responsibility which I fully accept. There's no question that returning to our roots as a party is critical right now. If we want to inspire and empower Australians across our country, we must return to these roots, these basic values that define who we are as a party." Ms Price says the party must stand for the, quote, "forgotten people" and, quote, "mainstream Australians," unquote. "I think of my grandparents, who were by no means the elite, building their first home by hand with Hessian bags and washing their clothes in the creek in Warners Bay, New South Wales. They saw a spark, a vision of a brighter future for generations to come." Now, Sky News understands Ms Price has been encouraged to run by former Prime Minister Tony Abbott. Following that breaking news, more on the Liberal leadership contest in a moment. But that happens, of course, after an extraordinary election victory for Anthony Albanese, unprecedented for the Labor Party. He has destroyed his opponents, decapitating Liberal leader Peter Dutton and Greens leader Adam Bandt as they lost their seats. With counting still going on, Labor looks set to win 94 and possibly as many as 96 seats in the 150-seat parliament. The Prime Minister, known to get emotional at times, was constantly labelled weak by Peter Dutton during the last three-year term. Well, now he looks anything but, strong-arming his opponents out of the parliament. Now, the PM will announce his cabinet tomorrow. I understand West Australian Anna Lee will come into cabinet. The top six will remain in their portfolios. That's Anthony Albanese, of course, Richard Marles in Defence, Penny Wong in Foreign Affairs, Jim Chalmers as Treasurer, Katie Gallagher in Finance and Don Farrell in Trade. And there's no prospect of Parliament resuming, I'm told, prior to Anthony Albanese travelling to Canada and possibly the US in mid-June. Seat results need to be finalised first. The PM held his nerve on not rushing to the US prior to the election to meet Donald Trump, and he's happy about that given the result. He and Labor also surgically targeted the seats of people like Dutton, Adam Bandt, and even future Liberal leadership prospect Keith Wallahan, who also lost his seat. Now, there were ructions out of the caucus voting to dump Ed Husic and Mark Dreyfus from the ministry, and the PM, I'm told, feels sorry for both of them, but acknowledges there needs to be a refresh as well. Could we see the PM's ally Tim Ayres take on industry, perhaps, Ed Husic's old portfolio? The Attorney General's spot could be filled by Michelle Rowland or even Mark Butler, who I think will be up for promotion after his role in health during the campaign. Then there's the Liberal contest, Susan Lee and Angus Taylor. Now, I'm told there is only one or two votes in it. Dave Sharma might be one of those votes. He's joining me shortly. Angus Taylor's pitch is he has the economic experience. He wants to mount the case 3 years out, as opposed to what Peter Dutton did a few weeks out, that more needs to be spent on defence, the budget needs to be fixed, tax needs to be kept low, wages need to grow. He sees his task as a rebuild of the Liberal Party if he gets there, as opposed to potentially winning government in 3 years. Susan Lee is telling colleagues she'll be more consultative than Peter Dutton was. No more captain's calls is her pitch, and she believes the party needs a new economic narrative. In a clear dig at Mr Taylor, who's spent the past 3 years as Shadow Treasurer, she's arguing, how could there have been a cost of living crisis like there was under Labor's watch? And then the Liberal Party went backwards. Now, as I said, it said there's only one or two votes in this result. Taylor supporters believe he has 25 solid votes in a 56-member party room. One of the great tactical errors of the campaign, which is being used in the context of this leadership bout, is the decision by Peter Dutton and Angus Taylor to oppose Labor's tax cuts in the opposition budget lockup. Taylor supporters point out Susan Lee was also in the room for that decision. Jane Hume, I'm told, the author of the disastrous work-from-home policy, expressed concern at the plan enunciated then by Dutton that the tax cut money would be taken and spent on defence instead. By the time Nationals leader David Littleproud arrived after question time to the lockup, I'm told the decision had been made to not back the tax cuts. So it had been made in a matter of half an hour. And Peter Dutton, a former Defence Minister, is said to have been talking in that lockup about a, quote, khaki election, unquote. Mr Dutton then communicated this to Shadow Defence Minister Andrew Hastie on the floor of the House around the time Treasurer Chalmers was giving his budget speech. And Mr Dutton did this in front of several witnesses. He said to Mr Hastie, "We'll use the tax cut money for defence spending." But Hastie was sidelined by Dutton and his people. And throughout the 3 years, he suffered defeats on defence by Peter Dutton, including the time he was allowed to bring a proposal to Shadow Cabinet to establish a joint parliamentary committee on defence with Labor, only to have it shot down by Dutton in front of his colleagues. So the race for Deputy Liberal leader will also be closely watched. Just to reveal then, Jacinta Price is definitely running, and Ted O'Brien is expected to run against her. And there are two other leadership races this week. A Nationals vote on Monday afternoon between David Littleproud and Matt Canavan. I'm told Littleproud will likely win this around 14-6 or 15-5. And a three-way race for the Greens leadership between Sarah Hanson-Young, Maureen Faruqi and Larissa Waters looms.